Okay, we are live. I'm going to turn the volume here to see if it's repeating. Hello, everyone. Okay, I was just looking at LinkedIn where I'm streaming. Hello, everybody. I am Sudha Jamthe, and this is Sudha Live. I've been out traveling almost for a month. Missed you all. Hope you all remembered me or missed me a little bit. Happy New Year. This is the first Sudha Live I'm doing in 2024. And from my travels, actually, I had gone to India for a wedding and stopped by at Amsterdam and a little bit at Boston, and then I'm back here in Silicon Valley. For those of you who are joining me new, Sudha Live is this hour. Actually, I try to keep it to 45 minutes where I bring you the latest in the AI space and I focus on opportunities. What are the We pick the latest trend that's out there so that those of you who are pivoting and learning in AI space know, where to focus on. So I bring a little bit of analysis on the latest in the AI space, and then jobs. Primarily, I'll focus on jobs, events, call for papers, and opportunities. Essentially, for those of you who are learning, you always feel that you think like you've got a handle on it, and then there's like a whole new jargon that shows up, and that's the name of the game in tech, so don't worry about it. And with generative AI and large language models, we are at a place where it's not yet stabilized. So that's one of the common questions I used to get all through last year. I published my book Generative AI Primer for Product and Business Managers in April. That's when I was teaching my Stanford class, the AI bootcamp, and it was fully focused on generative AI. And from then on, the common question was, what is the stable state? How is this going to settle down? And why does anybody want to know that? Because if you're an enterprise, you're making a buy decision, you need to know what API you're betting on. Should it be open source? Should it be a specific company? What kind of technologies are available? And then if you're not actually the data scientist or building this, then you need to know, what are all these buzzwords, and should we even invest in this, or should we watch from the sidelines? So I've done a bunch of rounds, travel to multiple countries, and visited with companies, and that's a common question that everybody's asking. So this Wednesday, at Weekly Wednesday, which is my student community where we have a global speaker come in. Once in a while, I will come in and do a webinar. I did a webinar on the latest technology trends. So CES happened recently. So I analyzed a few of the launches that happened at CES. It's Consumer Electronics Show, so it's usually IoT and cars and devices and the like. So we reviewed some of them, and then I brought the latest in LLM. So let me point you to where you can go find that. So I'm streaming this on YouTube. I'm streaming this on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk to you only on LinkedIn. And so if you have questions, comments, suggestions, work in the space, just want to introduce yourself, love to hear it. Because the way LinkedIn does is I just see the number of people who are showing up as live. I don't get to see who you are or anything unless you post a question. So I would love it. Helps me get my energy up and focus, and we can have a real conversation instead of me just looking at my screen. So thank you for that. So I see the number of people here. So please introduce yourself or say who you are or what you work on, or you have a question for me. That'll be even better. Awesome. Um, so I was going to show you my where the technology trends that I did, the weekly bed. It's somebody else was asking me this week. So I'm going to go there to where you can find the weekly vet playlist. So the easiest thing would be if you follow Business School of AI on LinkedIn, then everything streams there. So the weekly vet streams there. Everything we do here in the newsletter and everything else we share there. So that's kind of my online school platform. So you can connect with me there. You can connect with each other there. You can just don't have to remember multiple URLs and bitleys. But if you want to, then let me share my screen. The best place for you to go find all the weekly wed archive is bit.ly/weekly wed playlist, and all the weekly wed different speakers and topics and conversations over there. I think this has gone on for 5 years or something, but I think in our archive I'm seeing about 87 videos, 87 hours of video. That should be plenty. um, so in here, this series of LLM webinars I did, I was referring to this particular session about 3 months back from Pierre about LLM, how to build LLM using no code, and he was talking about using Mistral 7B. That is the first time we got introduced to Mistral 7B, and I was like, this Pierre, let me bring him into focus. And I was thinking, oh, Mistral 7B looks exciting, and it is, open source LLM built from France, and that has built up to be one of the top LLMs of today in terms of performance and buzz. And Mistral LLM, Mistral 7B LLM has. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, guys. Okay, Mistral 7B LLM has something called Mistral 7B Instruct, which is which is a downloadable version of the LLM. Remember, all large language models are hosted on the cloud. You have to get API access. You have to pay OpenAI for GPT access, and there's so many other cloud providers who are doing integration with all this. Even if you go to Hugging Face and you're going to find any of them, it's all hosted somewhere. You have to call an API, you have to kind of do that. And the question was like, okay, what happens to my data, and can I, security and privacy and all that stuff. So now you can actually have the entire LLM, and LLM is huge, right? It has billions of parameters, but the entire LLM can run on your computer. It is available only on Mac and Linux, not on. I'm on a Chromebook here, so I can't show you anything, or it's not on Windows yet. But you can run that, and I believe. This whole concept of taking an LLM, packaging it like an executable, so you can run it off your computer, like a small laptop, right? Was actually started by the Mozilla team. So credit goes to them. But the Mistral 7B Instruct is the new big one that you can just download. What does that mean? What does that mean to download an LLM and have it on your? It's like having an app. So on your phone, you just download an app and you start using it. So like that, you can just download this LLM, large language model, and then it just runs. But that means you have your own chatbot. So there is something called VS CUDA, which is a chatbot for coders, for programmers, to actually have it run within Visual Studio. So while you're coding, you can actually find out, are you doing right? Do you want it to double check and give you ideas and generate code and stuff like that? That's for developers. And for everybody else, here is an opportunity to run your own little chatbot, a full chat GPT equivalent chatbot, right here on your computer. You can chat with it. And it's not even on the cloud. It's not Bard. It's not ChatGPT. Nobody's going to track you on what you're asking it, and whether you're making it integrate to some other data source and go query something and all that stuff. You can do that. So that's like kind of a next wave. So one direction was large language models, and there was something called small language models. Let me check my notes. There was one new one that came from Microsoft this week. So people were going, why do we need large language models? Can we do small large language models? Not small large, just small language models. Let me check. It is called Microsoft Pi 2, PHI 2. It's a small language model, and that's a new thing. And then now this is like you can run on the edge. So fascinating for me. I love autonomous vehicles. I love IoT. That's the world from where I came into. I still believe in a very connected world where all devices and everything, our home is going to be automated, our cars are going to have life, and everything is connected, and there's this common AI that's going to connect and talk to each other and do good for us. Good for humanity is the hope. So I like things that run on the edge. I like AI that is like it has a small footprint and it runs on the device. It can do something more intelligent. Talking of autonomous vehicles, while I was in Amsterdam, some of you who came to Weekly Wed have already seen it, but I will never get bored of showing you yet another autonomous vehicle. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I was very, very surprised because I saw an autonomous vehicle at Amsterdam. So let me show that to you. And I'll tell you why I'm showing. Other than my excitement for it, there is a reason. So bear with me, guys, okay? So you see my window being shed. Okay, so here are the canal is here, and this is the road by the canal. And here's a self-driving car. Can you see it, guys? So obviously I went chasing, and this is how much I caught it. I didn't go running all the way. So my question to those of you who know this from Europe or from Amsterdam, who's running this? In California, we have 43 companies who have official license from DMV and are running all around our roads, self-driving cars. And then we have 7 companies who are licensed to run driverless. And I've done a Waymo ride and I've shown that to you before. But who is doing this? I would like to know that. I would like to know that. So I'm going to come post here. Tell me, guys, who is testing this autonomous vehicle in Amsterdam? Do you know? Please tell me. Okay. So I hope I put that out into the ether. I put it in the comment on LinkedIn where you guys are watching me. Okay. I see the number of people who are watching gone up. So if you joined new, this is Sudha Live. I'm talking about the latest in AI space and AI opportunity. And what you saw just now is an autonomous vehicle I saw in Amsterdam. It was quite a treat, and I don't know who runs that. So I'm curious to see if you know it. I would love to hear from you. And I don't know, because Amsterdam is one of those countries who's very big on data privacy, and we could see that, right? In every way, they were asking. Even the whole of Europe has GDPR, but Amsterdam was very special for me. So I'm curious. And if you're interested in participating, I'm happy if you introduce yourself and say hello. I would love it, love it, love it. So say who you are. I see some people liking my post. Oh, Srinatha Reddy, welcome. So you're welcome to introduce yourself and add a comment, ask a question, do whatever you think is right so that we can get the best out of this conversation, right? I'm going to share opportunities in AI and whatnot, but I was just showing you how to get to the weekly web archive, because we have about 87 hours of content in there. And I was trying to show you something, and then I started telling you about Pierre, right? Because he was the first one who introduced us. You're seeing the share? Okay, thank you. So he was the first one to tell us about the Mistral 7B, which has become like the one of the top open source LLMs. And then this week we did this holiday learning plan before, and then this just before the holidays. And large this is me from Wednesday. On large volume of data. So the large means large volume, but also many, many parameters. What are these parameters? They're the weights and biases. So it's essentially a neural network. In its memory, it is deciding, talking about LLMs, that the neural network is saying which word in this layer is important. So it's going to store information. So the training data is fed from one end, and it builds a neural network, and then it produces the output. That's what all AI is doing, right? It takes training data and creates some kind of learning, and then it spits out the output that we are asking for as a prediction. So weights is essentially saying which word is important. Bias is saying how do I propagate this learning from one layer to the another. So the combination of these weights and biases is parameters. So all LLMs, there are several LLM models. This is from my book, The Generative AI, a primer for product and business managers. I wrote in April. It is a little dated now because there's so much stuff that's happening. So I'm going to go back and update that. Okay. So one of the things I did here is I tried to show you what is the latest in the LLM space, what is the latest in CES, and let me see whether I can see that. Okay, this is the CES trend. I was talking about Alexa and BMW. Um, BMW also has like a VR headset. I'm not going to repeat those things. You guys can go see it. I wanted to see in the LLM space what I was showing you. Okay, so why don't I leave you to go see this? This is, if you do bit.ly/weekly list, you will just get to it. It's in my YouTube, so you can just see it, guys. I'm going to close this window and stop the share. The capitalist approach. The good side without any context, you're just hearing capitalist approach sounds so crazy. Okay, for those of you who are here joining me live, so far I've basically been talking about the opportunities in the AI space and the latest in the LLM world. One of them was the ability to run the models. So let me write that in the comment. It's called Mistral. That seems like a new trend. First, there's a lot in open source, and then the other is Mistral 7B Instruct. So you can just download this like an app and then run it on your computer. So that seems like the big thing. There's a new one called Latimer. There's a new LLM called Latimer, guys. I got access to it. I'm going to share my screen again because I can show you Latimer. So you know how we talk about all the OpenAI and stuff is biased, and so this is a group which basically said, what if we take black and brown history from around the world and then train it and build a new LLM? So this is what it is. So if you want to learn black history, what is black power, who are the black leaders of America, and I just had a bunch of questions. So if you have any questions for me, I can ask it. And I got access. It's a waitlisted and I got access. I'm very thrilled to hear that. So or you just talk to it and use it like any other model, but it is not going to be biased against black people. So that's what it is. Last time in weekly Ved, when I was showing this, one of our students were saying about whether it has bias against women and pink shoes. It did not want to answer those questions. It's not trivial stuff. It's literally like, I've shown you about RAG, about how you can take content that belongs to you, any data set that belongs to you, and train a model so that it can query the data set. This is a history lesson about black history. It has been trained on that. So if you're interested in learning that, instead of going all over the internet and finding, what is good and bad, that thing. One of the other things I realized is AI ethics is still a thing. It's an important thing. It's not going away. So it's not like, people are doing lip service and not caring about it. They are caring about it. So one of the things that happened is in US, we had the New Hampshire, not New York, primary, and there was this fake voice of our president that was kind of, sent out as a message from people. So sad. But so you should look out for it. When you hear something that looks very scary, it looks like shocking, then that's kind of misinformation. You might want to stop and think, is this real? And especially in this election here, we are going to see a lot of that. So, and there's no way to stop it. There are all these guidances on how you can spot it. I don't know how you can spot a voice if it sounds like our president and then they are saying something. Then how do we know that it's not fake? So if it sounds like it is too shocking, then you need to stop and question it and find your own source whether to validate that. The other thing is, this week on today is Friday, right? So on Thursday, on Wednesday night, Thursday, was a Barcelona technology class to the big data and AI master's class. And Yashashwini Vishwanath, who's AI researcher from Bangalore, she taught fairness and explainability. It was amazing. And I always love meeting my students, and I'm on the board of Personal Technology School, so I like to meet the students. I did get to meet the whole school and give them some talk about generative AI in October, but I didn't get to interact with them. And so I found that very heartwarming always to hear how students care about ethics. This is leaders, future leaders, who are going to go build out the new digital world, digital transformation. And these are students who are learning AI, who come from data background, and very smart questions on how do we provide, so how do we measure fairness, and that was the core topic. So Yashashwini was talking about fairness metrics from IBM 360, and then the discussion was how do we ensure that we actually are inclusive, what practically how can we do that. They cared enough, they want the tools, they want the techniques, and so we had a lot of discussion on that. So one of the things that has been running in my head, and they were asking about how do we provide support for world languages, how do we, there are 7,000 plus languages in the world, and you say make it inclusive, and how do we provide support for that. And so I poked around, talked to Bard, and found out that, let me show you. Bard basically asked Bard, how many languages are supported in Google Translate, and Bard said 133 languages at various levels. Okay. Text translation for 103 languages, speech recognition for 125 languages, speech synthesis for uh, you know for over 40 languages, and then live video translation for 27. So essentially 133 is the number from Google Translate, right? And then GPT says about 95 languages. And then I was like, what is the difference between GPT saying 95 and Google Translate saying 133? So it gave me a very interesting difference, saying, the languages that chat GPT, right, chat GPT can handle are mainly European languages, Asian languages, some very minimum African languages, Swahili, Yoruba, Zulu, and Afrikaans. And then it has a few other languages like Hawaiian, Latin, and Esperanto, right? And the key thing was there could be different levels of fluency and all that stuff, right? And it's contextual understanding. And it was saying, in terms of Google Translate, the difference was Google Translate. It was saying, let me see what it was saying about Google Translate. The difference, right? Why it is why Google Translate is stronger in African and Asian languages, right? It has emphasis for less known languages of the world with very few speakers, right? Base, but it still provides support because you need the translation for those languages. And then it focuses on translation accuracy. Whereas ChatGPT, the emphasis is more on European languages and popular Asian languages. And it also has this is a very interesting way. I don't know if Bard was hallucinating, but it said this, saying the focus is on creative text generation. So even if it has little knowledge of the language, if you ask it to write poetry or script, it can do that. And then it's trying to make a faster adaptation to newer languages, right? But still, it's a lot of languages. When we are saying there are 7,000 plus languages in the world, and we have 133 supported by Google Translate, 95 supported by ChatGPT. And today I got a mail from Zoom, and so I have the AI translation companion turned on. So what it is doing, AI companion turned on, what it does is, as I'm talking, it's going to get a transcript of this in English for me. And then they said, if you want that English transcript to have a preview in other language, which means they're doing translation, they've added 35 languages. I skimmed through that. I was shocked because in US, English, Spanish, Mandarin are the top three languages. Mandarin was not there in it. And Mandarin is spoken by a lot of people, millions of people, billions of people in the world, and it was not supported. So there was this discussion in the Barcelona Technology School class saying, we cannot support everybody, we will support where our customers are. That's why you'll see Japanese being supported. Google had done a big blog post when they added support for Japan, for Japanese language, because it's a market for them. So that's one approach of thinking about it. But if you think about this ethically, you should provide support for everybody, especially if you're building AI models. If you're building fundamental technology, you cannot leave anybody behind, because that's on you, right? Because you're kind of shrinking the world down, and then it's not just the market of customers, you're just leaving people behind. If you're building application, the mindset is, I will serve my customers. So if I have a certain profile of customers, I'll make sure they're all included. So out of the 7,000, I still have a question, guys. Who decides what are these 35 languages that Zoom has decided to prioritize to provide support for translation and leave Mandarin behind? So if you're working in Zoom or no friends in Zoom, please ask me. I want to know the answer for this. And I found 3 Indian languages included in there, and no Mandarin included. It was shocking. And there was no African language included. So, people who work in Zoom, what is going on? There is a huge group on Slack, group called Masakane, and they are brilliant researchers from various countries of Africa who are building out language transliteration, data sets, models for various use cases to provide support for African languages. There are brilliant leaders evolving in that space, so you cannot leave that behind. And if you look at Google Translate, their focus is on African languages and Asian languages. And to leave and all African languages behind and having 35 languages prioritized, I want to know what's the reasoning behind it. How do you think about this? What's the ethics of this? What's your business justification if you're thinking about customers on that also, right? I'd like to know that. And I've been thinking about this. I want to do some research on how are these different languages. Is it just you have, like, in AI development, we always say we want people in the room. If you want to provide disability support, so for example, Uber did not provide his disability support for people, so they said people who had wheelchair access took 4 minutes before they picked up a ride, and they did not understand that, and so they cut off the ride. And then they realized, oh, that was a mistake, and then they added support. So if the person who's going to represent that lived truth is not in the doesn't have a seat at the table, or is not in the company, in the circle, then you're going to be biased against that. Is that what's happening? Are you saying you do not have anybody who speaks any African language in entire Zoom company working? I think that's a problem. That's a different, bigger problem. So please help me understand that. And then, so what I want to do is I want to do research on, and I'm not trying to bash Zoom. I use Zoom. I love Zoom as a company and your creativity and all that. But I want to make sure that I understand, is it ad hoc, random, engineers in the room decide that, oh, we are going to add support for this, or is there people who are bringing that diversity because they exist in the room, and they happen to add that language support? I want to know what's going on. How does technology industry decide to provide support for 133 languages in Google Translate? Maybe there's a technical reasoning behind it. I can understand low resource languages that were left behind because they did not have enough data set to be built. In fact, I'm working on a project to add support for Bari language to create machine translation from English to Bari for UN women pamphlets that are distributed in a refugee camp in South Sudan. And so it's a huge challenge. I understand that. But my ask is, I want to know, if you're involved in adding any language support for any technology company, how do you decide this? Is there a logical reasoning? Is there a framework to think about this so that we can get to a better inclusive world? So I know that there are Google had come with zero shot learning, and then added 100 languages to for language translation support, and then Llama had come up with, there was this, no, not Llama, no language left behind, NLLB, that came from Meta, and they had added support for 200 languages. And so Zoom said 35, and Google Translate said 133, and Chat GPT says 95, and they're not even same languages. There's a bunch of overlap of languages in that. So I saw one other thing called Mala, MALA, Mala 500. It's a massive language adaptation of large language models. That's what the Mala stands for. It's a pre-trained on Llama 2, which is an open source from Meta, to develop a LLM to cover 534 languages, which I found interesting. So I'm going to show you this on screen instead of, it's a mouthful instead of just reading that out, and I'm going to show you that. Here, let me share my screen, guys. Okay, so does this language are you working on different languages and adding support for multiple languages? Is this topic of interest to you? How do you think about this? How do you approach this? Would you have a recommendation of how we can develop a framework for this? So this is the Mala, massive language adaptation of large language models, that was just submitted on RZIV on the 24th, 2 days back. So I thought that was interesting. So uh, the other thing is, I also heard in the LLM world, the whole generative AI LLM, all the models are built on transformer models. That's the big thing, and there is a competing approach to it, and that is called Mambo. Mamba, M-A-M-B-A. And I'm sure all of these that comes from tech are all acronyms for something. So it is about, it's supposed to be Mamba is supposed to be uh, Mamba, maybe. Help me understand how it's pronounced, guys. It's supposed to be a different approach to uh, creating large language models, which is not tokenized. Because remember, when you go use GPT, everything you're going to spend on tokens, and this is like a token free language model. And Mamba is the new thing. Mamba Byte is like token free select. So this, it's a concept called state space models instead of transformer model. That's a new thing. So if you're into model building, pre-training, you're in data science, you have to look at this. And Mamba Byte is the new thing in the language world. So much for the language world. So I'm going to wrap that topic. uh, oh, I like to congratulate people who inspire me. Usually I start with that. I forgot. So I have my dear friend Shuchi Rana. Let me find Shuchi Rana. Where is Shuchi Rana? Let me find that. I think I saved that URL at least. I did that. Otherwise, I have to go look it up for you guys. Oh my God. Um, I'm going to find Shuchi Rana for you. It's easier that way. Shuchi Rana. She is quite a force. You cannot ignore her. She's such an amazing person. I can't even start to describe who is Shuchi Rana to you. Hold on for a minute. Let me share the screen so you can see the profile of the amazing Shuchi Rana, because I want to congratulate her. So be kind, useful, awesome. This is not just some words. She is somebody who embodies that. She's on the board of big data. She does a lot of events. VentureBeat, she's a force behind VentureBeat. She's just amazing. So let me see. You can see a bunch of VentureBeat stuff from her, right? So she joined the board. Let me show you her post here. So here is Shuchi Rana. Congratulations, Shuchi. She joined the board of First Board IO Partner Network. And there's Colleen Berube and Sheila Bangalore. They also joined the leadership council of First Board IO. And First Board IO, and Shuchi is one of those people who is very deliberate about her time and makes impact. In everything she does, she drives big change. She's not just somebody who just spends her time thoughtlessly or frivolously. So she has joined the First Board IO uh, as a partner network. And by that, I got introduced to First Board IO. So they are focused on diversifying company boards for improved company performance. So there has been an outcry saying you don't have enough women on boards. There are organizations who are trying to add diversity that way. But this group is focused on adding diversity, but also making sure that it helps improve company performance. It's been said that it will improve, but they're taking a different approach to that. So that got me thinking, because I've been serving on the board of Barcelona Technology School. It's about 8 years old since the whole digital transformation school started in Barcelona, and I've been lucky to be, on the advisory board, strategic advisory board, with amazing colleagues. And the general manager of BTS, Barcelona Technology School, is very, very big on diversity. So I remember sitting and having conversations on it is faster to grow this way, and focus on certain countries and certain segments in marketing. And he would be like, no, we have to make sure that we have diversity of men and women. We have diversity of variety of people representing almost every possible country in the classes. So I can see that over the last 5 years, I've been teaching AI ethics to 4 different master's program, and you can see the caliber of discussion and caring and the product that comes out. Even one of our students actually built a ChatGPT equivalent, because ChatGPT, before ChatGPT was even a thing. And these are amazing innovators. They are digital transformation leaders. And so that got me thinking. I realized I'm the only women on the board of Barcelona Technology School. So I'm going to go back and talk to them, because usually when I'm called to speak at a panel which is full of men, it's called manels, I would not do that. I would not join that. I have actually, started this thing called IoT Day Women, which I run for past 5 years with women only speakers for 24 hours, because I saw an organization which was running a conference which did not have any women speakers in there. And I said, if you had all the men uh, give you a recommendation of a women that they respect in their career, you would have 50-50 parity. And that kind of got me to the whole IoT Day Women. So I'm thinking with Barcelona Technology School, I'm going to go see how I can add the diversity. So if so this is digital transformation school. They want to bring the latest in technology. They care a lot about student experience. That's their strength. They have a mentorship program, and then they, being in Barcelona, which is like an innovation hub with a lot of diversity, they go engage with the community, hackathons, and big conferences that happen in Barcelona. So it's a very fun kind of program. And we are in the advisory, advising the general manager and founder how to grow the school and enrich the student experience and stay on top of the latest in technology and grow and stuff like that. So if you have any recommendation of women out there who would contribute to the strategic advisory, talk to me, because I want to make some recommendation. I want to help contribute, because I just realized that I can't be the only woman sitting in this board, and they're amazing, well-meaning men who are my colleagues, but I want to make sure that we bring in more diversity. So talk to me about that. I would love that. And I'm going to take that. Usually the school year starts in October, so the board meeting happens live in October. So that's the real big commitment. I personally like to stay in touch with the school, and I teach, and that's not an expected commitment. It's just a regular board meeting commitment. So that is one. And then the other thing I realize, the other group that I want to congratulate is STOP. Do you remember STOP from New York? It is about stopping surveillance. Let me bring that for you. Here we are. So they add oversight to surveillance technology, and they watch. This is very New York focused, and they've been very successful. So what they show here, so they have, this is Stop Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, and here are their new interns. So congratulations to the legal intern Ashley Vega. Brooke Cordes is their advocacy intern, and Claudio Castillo is their communications intern. And it's just amazing, like, how each of these interns, if you look at their bio, what they've achieved, what they've done already while they're in school, is just unbelievable, right? And then you have Dujona Richardson, who's a legal intern. Congratulations. Laila Renwick Archibald is a research intern. Marwa Syed is a legal intern. Congratulations. Owen May, research intern. Regan Razan, research intern. Scarlett Galvin is communications intern. Congratulations. Sophia Wright, research intern. And Vianka Figorova. I am sure I'm missing your name. I'm so sorry. Please correct me. Legal intern. So, congratulations, guys. I am a big fan of Stop's work already. So, I'm very, very thrilled to see such young, talented pool. And do you all remember Patrick Kalin? Uh, um, he was an intern at ACLU, and he's also part of this Stop group. Okay, so now I'm going to skip to opportunities, because I've been talking a lot about the latest in the space. So, in summary, LLM is still the thing, and you can run LLM straight on your device. And there is this whole new Mamba model that is, a different approach instead of transformer if you're in the data science space. And then, what about everybody else? What are we building? So, one of my big projects that I'm working on is a LinkedIn Learning course. I teach courses for LinkedIn Learning. I have 2 courses on LinkedIn Learning to teach you AI with no code AI. And I'm working on a new one, which is about generative AI using no code. And my audience is typically product managers and business managers. And so this is for business leaders. And one of the things I want, and I want, like, what the way I like to teach no code is not just theoretically, like, okay, you don't need coding and some superficial level. I like you to understand the depths of technology without seeing a single line of Python on screen. But I like to give you tools approaches, technology approaches, and techniques and frameworks to think about how you build stuff so that you hands on go build something. And I will have some exercise to build. So one of the things I'm looking for is I want to build one of the lessons about building an intelligent chatbot using no code. And I am not going to show them just GPT because that is dependent on a license of or membership of using OpenAI GPT models. So I'm not expecting the students to use any APIs directly, right? There could be a tool, there could be a layer that builds on it. So I want your recommendation. Are there chatbot tools, intelligent chatbot tools that you have used, that you like, that is accessible and open to everybody, that I can use to show my students how to build an intelligent chatbot using no code? I know a few of them, but they seem very limited. So that's what I'm looking for. And you also find like the intelligent chatbots integrated into e-commerce sites, or if you try to go to Wix or GoDaddy, they come up with one of them ready made. I don't want something ready made. I want to actually have my students build from scratch. So the concept is you are in enterprise, you have some data, you want to solve a real business problem, you think about the capabilities of LLM, you want to do summarization, you want to build a Q&A, you want an intelligent AI assistant. How do you build those? And how do you take your existing data and how do you take your existing business acumen to solve for customer problems, not just a chatbot for the sake of chatbot? So it's with a lot of depth and integration into your enterprise. That's how I'm thinking. So I'll tell you when the course is live so you can take it. But if you're working on any intelligent chatbot and you're aware of it, I would love your input to see whether I could use that to showcase it. Okay, I see some comment here. Okay, I lost the context of where you were saying spatial computing. Do you work on spatial computing? I see a comment here saying slash spatial computing. So please tell me if that is something that you work on. What is the context of that? I would love to see that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I just saw the comment on spatial computing. I lost context on whether you're responding to something I was saying or what that was. So please talk to me. If you work on spatial computing, awesome. I'd love to hear about what you're working on. What do you do, and learn more. Otherwise, just add a comment. I'll appreciate that. Okay. So the um, since we're coming to the end of the hour, I want to see whether I can give you some opportunities before I wrap up. On Jan 30th, there is a high risk AI review from Credo AI. What that is what are the high risk industries where AI is used, what are the use cases. And Credo AI focuses on AI ethics, so they want things to be done ethically, but in that context they are basically like hosting event. So what are the high risk industries, what are the top high risk industries according to you? You can add a comment if you're watching this. So one is healthcare. So high risk means if the AI is not done ethically, inclusively, with the right accuracy, with the right security, what happens? And healthcare is top, finance is another, hiring and HR is another one. So Credo AI is hosting an event. One of the things I would do is everything that I am talking here, I will make sure that is included. All the links will be in the Jamthe newsletter. Let me share the screen so you can see the URL for this. Parya Sarin works with me and puts together the newsletter. So thank you, Parya. I appreciate your work on this. I cannot do this without you. Parya has been amazing. So bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. Are you guys seeing this? Okay. So this is the past archive. So if you want to go see this, you will be able to see this. So if you just look at one of or you can subscribe to this and you can get the newsletter. Otherwise, if you just click and watch it, you will find the weekly wed recording from the past. You will find the Sudha live recording here, and then you'll find a whole bunch of other resources, bunch of jobs, open calls and events, a bunch of reading resources and all that good stuff. So it's a long newsletter and it goes out on Monday evening, my time here in California. So hope you will sign up, because everything that I'm going to share here and a whole bunch of other jobs and events is all going to be part of that. And then, so I have a bunch of those, but I don't know. So the Credo event will be listed in there. I told you about the CUDA, Mistral, Mamba Byte. What else have I got? Um, there was a very interesting article. I'm going to include that in the reading material. There was a very interesting article by Albert Fox Cohn and Schneier, Bruce Schneier, called "AI Could Make Our Human Interaction Blander, More Biased, or Ruder." So it's on article on Atlantic. It says, "Don't talk to people like they're chatbots." So I had somebody who is a anthropologist who was talking to me about how uh, we bring, like, talking. I know I come from an engineering background, so I tend to kind of use words as if we are computers. Now we are as if we are AI. We kind of, I say, when I get very busy, I say my stack is full. So we talk like that, and we are bringing that. So now we are interacting with chatbots everywhere. The thinking is, we think nobody's watching, we're just talking to an AI. There has been published research. Will we be rude? Will we, I mean, our parents, our moms taught us to say please and thank you when we were so young, and will we lose it, and will we become rude, and will that affect us as a humanity? So that's a very interesting article in um, Atlantic. Okay, so the other thing is, there's a whole bunch of events happening because the new year is out. We're all back from holiday and settled in. I finished all my travel. I'm here to talk to you every week now. So there's the Hague Program on International Cybersecurity on the 29th. It's called Digital Empires, the Global Battle to Regulate Technology. There's another one called on the same 29th. It's called Feminist and Accessible Publishing Communication. It's a tech series on AI and climate change. Let me see. There's a whole bunch of events. I'm just not going to read this out to you. I'm just going to share. And this goes on and on for a long time. So I'll try and at least give you the ones that you will have to sign up immediately. Okay. And then in Feb, there is the Harvard Clinic Law Symposium, Building Resilient Bridges. I think that's amazing. I would like to attend that. I just came from back with a short trip at Boston, so I'm not sure I can go back so soon. Okay, and then Harvard also has a Higher Aspirations Institute with an event on the 9th of Feb called Discriminatory. That's a tongue twister. Less Discriminatory Algorithms. It's interesting. You don't want the algorithm to discriminate, and you're just saying less is much more pragmatic. So I like that title, though I'm feeling like it's a tongue twister. And then there's a bunch of call for papers, and there are some grants. And education is an industry which is still struggling with, okay, they've accepted that generative AI is here. Some universities have banned ChatGPT. A lot of them are trying to figure out how do we incorporate that. So UNESCO has a call for a proposal on education, and how education is using, how they could use generative AI, best practice. How can we use that to train teachers? How can we bring that into the classroom? Whole bunch of options. So UNESCO has a call on that. Um, there's a bunch of jobs. I think the Berkman Klein Center had a bunch of jobs. They still have a few more jobs open. So you might want to take a look at that. So I'll add all that in the Jamthe newsletter, what I show you, bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. And then the last thing is, we had done a series of LLM webinars, and it is called, what did Paria call it? So we put that together as a course so you can get a certificate. So if you want to learn LLM, the easiest thing is, wait, LLM. I'm trying to see the name of the course. Nope, it's not called. It has a name Jamthe in it. bit.ly/Jamthe LLM course. Yes, I think it's called Jamthe LLM course. I didn't come up with these names, guys. I know it has my name in there. It was done. Paria is the queen of Bitly in our world here at Business School of AI. So it's her thing. So I'm going to show that. Thank you, Pariya, for your amazing work as always. So it is bit.ly/Jamte LLM course. It's a 4 hour course, which I started out as a webinar on teaching you what is LLMs, large language models, how they work, how do you build using no code, using LLMs, how to understand RAG, or how to take your own data sets and put that to create a new intelligent chatbot for your company, how to understand the ecosystem of LLMs, how to make build versus buy decisions, how to decide between open source and brand based LLM models for your companies. Whole bunch of topics that you'll get a very solid foundation on LLM. So if you want to get into the whole generative AI space, and if you're dipping your toe into AI, this is a good start. It's a 4 hour certificate course. It's free, and you can just get a certificate, but you have to finish the course. And it is 4 hours course. And given that you'll have to stop and think. Um, I would keep 5 hours. So, or even if you're busy at work, maybe you can come do 1 hour and continue doing it over, week or so and get your certificate. That would be a great start to get you into the LLM world. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for hanging around with me in this hour. I just want to see if there's any question, comments, last minute, if I'm missing something. Nope. Okay. Thank you for hanging around with me. I appreciate it. And I still see those numbers of people. So, I've not seen any intro. So, if you want to introduce yourself, or you can still do that. And one of the things I like to do is, I tag a friend if somebody will benefit from this, and then I will come back and look at this if there are any questions or comments, or any people working in that space, if they've done, then I would come and add a comment. So this kind of, this is an archive. LinkedIn keeps it here. And we can continue the conversation. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. I will see you next week at Sudha Live, or I will see you at Weekly Wed on Wednesday, or I'll just see you with the newsletter. And I appreciate your time and hanging around with me. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.